The strange noise beneath the hull. The night was silent aboard the Starhaven, a small human cargo ship drifting between forgotten trade routes. Most of the crew was asleep, lights dimmed to save power. Only one man was awake, Engineer Jack Nolan. He sat inside the engine bay reading the maintenance logs, half asleep himself. Everything seemed peaceful, until he heard it. A soft clang echoed from under the ship's outer hull, faint but sharp like metal scraping metal. Jack frowned. The sound came again, this time closer. It wasn't part of the ship's usual hum. Something was wrong. He stood up, his boots thudding against the deck, and called out, "AI, scan lower maintenance deck section C." The calm female voice of the ship's AI replied, "No movement detected, Engineer Nolan." Jack shook his head. "You're wrong." "I heard something," he muttered. He grabbed his flashlight and toolkit and opened the access hatch to the lower section. The air inside was colder and the lights flickered weakly. The moment he stepped down, the noise came again. Clang. Scrape. Clang. Now it sounded like someone or something was trapped inside the hull. He crawled through the narrow tunnel following the noise. His heart began to beat faster. "If this is another loose panel," he grumbled, "I swear I'll—" He stopped mid-sentence. There, in front of him, something glowed faintly between the steel plates. It wasn't part of any human machine. A strange blue light pulsed steady and alive. Jack touched the surface, and it was warm, almost breathing. Suddenly, a voice whispered, soft and weak. "It hurts." Jack froze. The voice wasn't his imagination. It came from inside the metal itself. "Who's there?" he asked, voice shaking. "Please," the voice said again, this time clearer, trembling with pain. "I sat on it by accident." Jack blinked, confused. "You what?" The voice gave a soft moan, half in pain, half in fear. "It burns, help me." He backed up a little. "AI," he said quickly. "There's a living being inside the hull. Why didn't you detect it?" "No life signs registered," the AI replied calmly. "You are mistaken." "I'm not mistaken," Jack shouted, shining his light again. Beneath the plates, the glowing object flickered faster, like it heard him. The metal suddenly rippled and a thin crack appeared. Steam hissed out. Jack covered his face. "What in the name of—" The voice cried out louder. "It's breaking! Help me, please." Jack's instincts took over. He pulled out his plasma cutter, slicing along the crack. Sparks flew. The metal glowed red as he forced the panel open. Behind it was a strange pod in smooth glass-like, covered in alien symbols. Inside floated a small blue-skinned figure curled up in pain. Jack stared, speechless. "That's an alien," he whispered. The pod suddenly pulsed with light. Warning symbols blinked across its surface. Jack's AI spoke again. "Caution. Unknown bioreactive technology detected. Recommend immediate distance." But the alien girl inside opened her eyes. Bright gold irises locked on Jack's face. Her lips moved weakly. "Human, help me." Before he could respond, the pod began to shake violently. Energy readings on his wrist device spiked. "It's going to blow!" Jack shouted. He grabbed the emergency override, slammed it into the pod's side, and forced it open. The glass shattered, releasing a rush of steam and glowing liquid. The alien girl fell forward into his arms, coughing, shivering, eyes filled with fear. She gasped out, "Don't touch. The crystal." "What crystal?" Jack asked, trying to keep her steady. "The one I sat on," she moaned, clutching her side. "It's alive. It will melt your ship." Jack's eyes darted to the back of the pod. A small, pulsating crystal was stuck to the wall, crackling with energy. The temperature around it rose quickly. "AI, containment field, now," he ordered. "Field active," the AI replied, but the crystal's energy pushed against it, burning brighter. The alien winced, clutching Jack's arm. "It's merging with the metal." "I can't stop it," she whispered. Jack gently placed her against the wall. "What's your name?" "Tareen." She breathed out weakly. "Okay, Tareen," he said, checking his tools. "I'm going to get that thing out of the hull, all right? You just stay still." Her golden eyes locked on him. "If you touch it, we both die." Jack froze. "Then what do I do?" Tareen's breathing slowed, her voice barely audible. "It listens to fear. If you stay calm, maybe it won't react." "Stay calm?" Jack muttered under his breath, wiping sweat from his forehead. The entire section was shaking now, lights flickering red. "Great advice." He knelt down beside the crystal, watching the energy pulse and almost like a heartbeat. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive. The glow spread across the floor, creeping toward him like veins of light. He backed away slowly, pulling Tareen with him. The crystal's hum deepened into a low growl. "Jack," the AI warned, "temperature approaching critical." The engineer gritted his teeth. "Come on, think. Then out of nowhere, Tareen's hand gripped his wrist. "It can sense you," she whispered. "If it knows you mean to destroy it, it will fight back." Jack stared at her, then at the glowing crystal. "So what, I'm supposed to talk to it?" Her voice trembled. "Maybe. You must tell it you mean no harm." He looked up at the ceiling, half laughing in disbelief. "You've got to be kidding me." But he tried anyway. "Hey, crystal thing," he said slowly, voice shaking. "I don't know what you are, but I'm not your enemy, okay? Just calm down." The glow flickered once. Then the hum softened slightly, the temperature dropping a few degrees. Jack blinked. "Well, I'll be damned," he muttered. Tareen smiled faintly before her eyes rolled back and she fell unconscious. Jack lifted her up gently, his heart pounding. The pod, the alien, the living crystal, all of it felt impossible. But one thing was certain, this was no accident. As he turned to leave, the ship's intercom crackled. "Warning," said the AI. "Unidentified energy signature detected near the Starhaven. Multiple vessels approaching." Jack's blood ran cold. He looked down at the unconscious alien in his arms. "Guess I just found out who's looking for you," he whispered, as the hum of engines filled the dark space around them. The dangerous object. The emergency lights blinked red across the Starhaven's corridor. Jack carried the unconscious alien girl, Tareen, toward the medical bay. His hands trembled as he laid her on the table. Her skin shimmered faintly blue under the lights, her breathing weak but steady. The AI's calm voice filled the room. Unidentified vessels closing in. Estimated arrival 6 minutes. Jack cursed under his breath. 6 minutes? That's not enough time to figure out what's happening here. He looked down at Tareen. "Who are they? And what the hell is that thing you sat on?" As if hearing him, Tareen's eyes flickered open. Her golden irises glowed faintly. She tried to sit up, groaning in pain. "Don't let them take me," she whispered. "They'll kill us both." "Us both?" Jack frowned. "You're the one glowing like a neon sign, lady. What did you bring on my ship?" Her breathing quickened. "It's called a Zenari core, a living energy crystal. I was carrying it to destroy it, but it bonded with my suit." She touched her armor, which was cracked and still leaking faint light. "When I fell on it, it fused with me. I can't remove it alone." Jack rubbed his forehead. "So let me get this straight. You were running from someone, you sat on a dangerous alien bomb, and now it's stuck inside you?" Her lips curved into a weak smile. "In simple words, yes," he sighed, muttering. "Why do I always find the crazy ones in the middle of deep space?" Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. The walls groaned as something massive locked onto the Starhaven's outer hull. "Docking clamps engaged," the AI announced. "Foreign vessel attempting to board." Jack grabbed his plasma cutter again. "They're already here," he said. "You need to tell me how to remove that thing now." Tareen looked terrified. "You can't remove it with tools. It reacts to energy, to pain, to fear. If you cut too deep, it will explode." "Great," Jack said sarcastically. "So I can't cut it, can't touch it, can't even look at it wrong. Fantastic." He knelt beside her, examining the glowing cracks spreading through her armor. "What happens if it stays inside you?" "It will merge completely," she said softly. "Then I'll stop being me and become part of it." Jack's stomach twisted. "You mean it'll eat you alive?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, and after that it will look for a new host." The ship shook again. From the hallway came the sound of metal tearing and boots hitting the floor. "They're inside," Jack said, his voice tense. "You stay here. Don't move." He closed the med bay door and locked it, standing ready as footsteps approached. Through the window, he saw tall, armored figures, not human, moving in a dark formation. Their armor shimmered with red lines, their faces hidden behind glass helmets. One of them shouted in a deep metallic voice, "Return the princess and the core." Jack's eyes widened. "Princess?" He turned to Tareen. "You didn't mention that part." She looked down, ashamed. "I didn't want you to see me as another spoiled royal. I'm more than that." Before he could respond, the door shuttered. Sparks flew as plasma cutters burned through the lock. Jack grabbed a wrench, and it was all he had. "I really hate my job," he muttered. The door exploded inward. The aliens stormed in. Jack swung the wrench, hitting the first one hard across the helmet. The alien fell, but two more entered behind him, raising weapons that glowed green. A blast of energy shot toward Jack, but it never reached him. The crystal light from Tareen's armor flashed, forming a bright blue barrier that absorbed the attack. The energy rippled across her skin and into Jack's hands, burning like fire. He screamed in pain. What's happening? Tareen gasped. It's bonding to you. The core thinks you're trying to protect me. The light wrapped around Jack's arm, seeping under his skin, leaving glowing veins. His heart pounded like thunder. Make it stop. I can't, she cried. If you fight it, it will kill you. Jack fell to his knees as the energy surged through his chest. The remaining aliens aimed their weapons again, but before they could fire, a shockwave burst from Jack's body, throwing them across the room. The lights flickered, and the ship's AI said calmly, "Energy surge detected. Origin, Engineer Jack Nolan." He looked at his reflection in the glass. His eyes glowed faintly blue. Tareen stared at him, whispering, "The core. It chose you." Jack coughed, clutching his chest. "Lucky me." The ship's alarms blared again. "Warning," the AI said. "A Zynari battleship has entered orbit. 20 heavy signatures detected." Tareen's face turned pale. "They brought a dreadnought," she said, voice trembling. Jack looked down at his arm, where faint light still pulsed under his skin. "They want this core, right?" She nodded. "They'll destroy your ship to get it." Jack took a deep breath, staring toward the shaking doorway. "Then let's make sure they regret docking here." He reached for the plasma cutter again, but now, as he touched it, the tool glowed brighter than ever, reacting to the power flowing through him. The faint hum of the core echoed inside his chest like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Tareen watched him in silence, fear and hope mixing in her golden eyes. "You don't understand," she whispered. "The core only chooses warriors who can survive it." Jack gave her a crooked grin. "Then I guess it picked the wrong guy." But deep inside he knew it wasn't done with him yet. The energy pulsed stronger, and somewhere in the distance, the enemy ships began to charge their weapons. Outside the viewport, the stars vanished behind the massive shadow of a dreadnought, silent, monstrous, and waiting. The battle for survival had just begun, the invasion. The Starhaven trembled as the Zinari dreadnought loomed above, its shadow swallowing the stars. Red targeting lights blinked across the hull. Every alarm on the ship screamed danger. Jack stood by the medbay window, staring into the endless dark. The AI's calm voice echoed through the chaos. "Enemy boarding sequence detected. Breach in 60 seconds." Jack turned toward Tareen. She was still weak but trying to stand, holding onto the table. The soft glow from her armor had faded. The core's power was now in him. "You need to stay hidden," Jack said firmly, tightening his gloves. "They're not here for me." "They're here for you." Tareen shook her head. "No, Jack, they'll kill you to take the core. You don't understand how valuable it is. To them, it's not a weapon. It's a god," Jack frowned. "Then they picked the wrong god to mess with." He moved toward the corridor, but Tareen grabbed his arm. Her golden eyes glowed faintly. "Jack, listen," she said softly. "The core isn't stable. It reacts to emotions, anger, fear, even pain. If you lose control, it will consume you." He looked down at the faint blue light under his skin. "Then I'll just have to stay calm while they're trying to blow us up." The ship shook again. Metal screamed as something massive hit the side of the hull. The sound of boots echoed from beyond the door, heavy mechanical, getting closer. Jack glanced around the medbay. He found a plasma rifle in a wall locker, outdated but still working. He checked the charge. 30 shots. "Let's make 'em count." He pushed Tareen gently behind a storage unit. "Stay there. Don't move until I tell you." The door exploded inward a second later. A squad of armored Zinari soldiers marched in, weapons raised, red visors scanning the room. "There!" one of them shouted. "The core bearer!" Jack dove behind a counter as green plasma bolts ripped through the walls, the air filled with smoke and sparks. He fired back, hitting one soldier in the chest. The armor melted, the alien fell. Another bolt grazed Jack's shoulder, burning through his suit. He gritted his teeth, trying not to scream. Pain exploded through him, and that's when it happened. The core inside him responded. His vision flashed blue. Every sound stretched into slow motion. The air vibrated. Then a wave of energy burst from his body, throwing the attackers backward. The metal walls bent like they were made of cloth. When the light faded, the corridor was silent. The aliens lay unconscious or dead. Jack looked at his hands, shaking. The faint blue light pulsed under his skin like lightning. Tareen crawled out from hiding, eyes wide. "Jack, you just used the core's power." He took a deep breath. "Yeah, and I didn't explode. That's a good sign, right?" She nodded slowly, both amazed and afraid. No one has ever survived direct contact. Not even my people. The AI interrupted them. "Warning. Additional enemy forces detected on lower decks. Estimated 90 hostiles." Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. 90? Oh, great. Maybe they'll bring snacks. He reloaded the plasma rifle and moved toward the corridor. Tareen followed, limping slightly. "You can't fight them all," she warned. Jack looked over his shoulder. "Watch me." They reached the lower engineering deck. The walls glowed faint blue from the core energy leaking out of Jack's body. His presence seemed to disturb the ship's systems. The lights flickered, panels overloaded, and sparks rained down. Tareen whispered, "The core is trying to link with the ship. It senses your fear. You must control it." "Control it?" Jack said. "It's not exactly a pet." Still, he closed his eyes, focusing. The hum inside his chest grew softer, calmer. The light dimmed. For a moment, he felt the core listening. Then the deck door opened. More soldiers poured in, shouting commands in their alien tongue. Jack raised his weapon, but the core reacted faster. Blue energy erupted from his hands, forming a shield that blocked their fire. He moved through the smoke like a ghost, every step charged with power. He swung his arm, and a wave of energy knocked the attackers off their feet. The air shimmered like water. Tareen stared in awe. "You're synchronizing with it." "That's impossible." Jack turned to her, breathing hard. Maybe no one ever tried asking nicely. Suddenly, the floor shook again. The AI's voice filled the air. "Primary reactor overload imminent. Enemy ship draining energy through docking line," Jack cursed. "They're trying to pull the core's power through the ship." Tareen's face turned pale. "If they succeed, the core will tear reality apart. It can't exist in two places at once." Jack ran to the main control panel, slamming his hand onto the release override. "AI, cut all external power lines." "Unable to comply," the AI replied. "Manual override required outside the hull." Jack looked toward the airlock, determination burning in his eyes. "Then I'll do it myself." Tareen stepped forward. "It's suicide, Jack!" "You'll be exposed to space." He turned, a half-smile on his face. "You said the core protects its host, right? Guess we'll find out if that's true." Before she could stop him, he opened the airlock door. The wind roared as air rushed out. Jack grabbed a safety cable and stepped into the void. Outside, the dreadnought towered above like a mountain of fire and steel. Energy cables connected the two ships, glowing with crimson light. Jack's body glowed blue, his suit flickering with the core's power. He gritted his teeth, pulled his plasma cutter, and began severing the cables one by one. "Almost there," he muttered. Then the final cable surged with energy, throwing him backward. He floated in the black void until the core flared inside his chest. Blue wings of light burst from his back, stabilizing him. Tareen's voice crackled through the comm, trembling. "Jack, you're flying!" He looked down at his glowing hands hovering over the battlefield. "Guess it wasn't lying about protecting me," he said with a grin. Behind him, the dreadnought's weapons began to charge, their red lights burning bright. Tareen's voice came again, urgent. "Jack, they're powering the main cannon. You have seconds." Jack clenched his fists as the core's hum grew into a roar. "Then let's give them a light show they'll never forget." The stars around him blurred as the energy built to a blinding blue flame. Ready to explode. The dreadnought's demand. The blackness of space glowed blue as Jack floated outside the Star Haven, his body pulsing with the core's light. The enemy dreadnought loomed before him like a mountain of steel and death. Dozens of gun batteries turned to face him, charging red plasma that shimmered like molten suns. Tareen's voice echoed through the comm, panicked and breathless. "Jack, get back inside. Their main cannon is locking onto you." But Jack didn't move. He stared at the dreadnought, his hand glowing with alien power. "If I go back now, they'll destroy the ship." "We don't have a choice. Jack!" she cried, but his voice was calm. "AI," he said, "open channel to the enemy flagship." The ship's AI obeyed, connecting the signal. A moment later, the cold, echoing voice of the Zenari commander filled the air. Human vessels surrender immediately. Return the princess and the core, or your species will burn for your theft. Jack smiled faintly. You can't burn something that's already been through hell. The commander's voice deepened. You are a fragile creature of dirt and water. You think that glowing parasite makes you powerful? It will consume you as it did our world. Tareen's voice joined in the channel, weak but defiant. No, Commander Raul, you consumed yourselves. The core only reflects what's inside your heart. There was a pause, then a harsh laugh. Ah, my princess speaks at last. Do you love this human now? How? Tragic. Jack's fist tightened. She's not yours to threaten. The commander ignored him. We will tear your ship apart and take her piece by piece. Jack cut the channel. That's enough talking. The dreadnought's main cannon began to charge. A massive red beam of energy swirled at its center, ready to fire. Jack looked at his glowing arm. The core pulsed faster, reacting to the incoming threat. Jack. Tareen's voice trembled. You can't block that alone. It'll destroy you. He floated back toward the ship, his breath fogging the inside of his helmet. Then help me stop it. What? She whispered. You said the core reacts to emotions, right? What if two of us, human and alien, share the same intent? What if it listens to both of us? Tareen hesitated. Merging with the core means linking minds, souls, everything. If we fail, it will burn us alive. Jack smirked, his voice soft. Then I'll take that chance if it means saving you. A moment later, he landed back inside the Star Haven, the airlock sealing behind him. Tareen stumbled toward him, her legs weak, her golden eyes glowing brighter than before. Are you sure? She asked quietly. He nodded. Let's do it. Tareen reached out, placing her trembling hand over the glowing mark on his chest. The moment her skin touched him, the air around them shifted. The core's light surged between them like a living storm. Electric blue energy wrapped around their bodies, lifting them from the floor. Memories, thoughts, and emotions flooded between them. Her childhood under alien skies, his lonely life fixing ships, their shared fear of being powerless. Tareen gasped as tears rolled down her cheeks. You're human. You feel so much. Jack's voice came out faint and distant. And you're not the monster I thought you were. The core roared to life, forming a shining pattern across both of their bodies. Their eyes glowed the same bright blue as the energy began to merge completely. The AI's voice echoed. Warning, energy output rising beyond measurable levels. The Star Haven's hull groaned as the ship began to change. The core's power flowed through every circuit, every wire. The dull metal turned silver. The engines lit up like twin stars, and the hull began to reshape itself. Alive, breathing, transforming into something new. Jack and Tareen hovered in the center of it all. Hands still joined, the core glowing between them like a heart. Outside, the dreadnought fired. A beam of pure red plasma, wide as a city, shot toward the Star Haven. Inside the ship, time seemed to slow. Jack whispered, Tareen now. They focused together, one human, one alien, one mind. The core responded, projecting a massive shimmering shield in front of the ship. The red beam struck it with thunderous force, lighting up space like a new sunrise. The Star Haven shuddered, metal screaming under the pressure, but the shield held. Tareen cried out, It's too strong. We can't hold it forever. Jack gritted his teeth. Then we don't hold it. We push it back. They poured every ounce of will, fear, and rage into the core. The blue shield flared brighter, then exploded outward. Reversing the blast, the energy wave traveled back across space, straight toward the dreadnought. Inside its bridge, Commander Raul stood frozen as the reflected beam hit his ship's hull. No, he whispered before the explosion swallowed him whole. The dreadnought erupted into a storm of light. The shockwave rippled across the void, scattering debris like falling stars. When the glow faded, the Star Haven floated alone, its hull glowing faint silver, silent and still. Inside the ship, Jack fell to the floor, breathing hard. Tareen collapsed beside him, the core's light fading to a gentle pulse in their chests. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the quiet hum of the ship filled the air. Then Tareen smiled weakly. We did it. Jack leaned against the wall, laughing softly. Yeah, and we're still alive. That's a bonus. The AI broke the silence. Dreadnought destroyed. No remaining hostiles detected. Energy signature stabilizing. Jack looked at Tareen. So now what happens now? She turned her head toward him, her voice soft. Now the galaxy will come for us. The core isn't a secret anymore, but maybe together we can make them listen. He reached out, brushing her hand gently. Then we'd better be ready. The ship's lights dimmed, the core glowing quietly between them like a heartbeat shared by two worlds. Outside the window, the wreckage of the dreadnought drifted among the stars. A silent monument to the night humanity stood against the impossible and lived. When two worlds collide, silence filled the stars after the battle. The massive dreadnought was gone, leaving behind drifting debris glowing like dying embers. The Star Haven floated quietly among the ruins, its silver hull reflecting the fading blue light of the core. Inside the ship, everything was still. The lights were dim. The air smelled of burnt metal and ionized smoke. Jack sat beside Tareen in the med bay. Both looked exhausted, their faces pale, their hands still faintly glowing with the core's energy. The AI broke the silence softly. All enemy ships destroyed. Energy levels stable. Structural integrity restored at 89%. Jack gave a weak chuckle. 89? That's better than I expected. Tareen smiled faintly, her golden eyes soft but tired. You risked everything, Jack. Most humans would have left me behind. He looked at her, his voice quiet. Most humans haven't met someone like you. A moment passed between them. Calm, fragile, filled with something unspoken. The hum of the ship was steady now, like a heartbeat echoing through metal walls. Then Tareen's expression changed. Her glow dimmed slightly. Jack, something's wrong. The core, it's not done. Jack's smile faded. What do you mean, not done? She closed her eyes, listening to a sound only she could hear. It's calling out. Others will come, not just my people. The entire galaxy felt that energy burst. They'll all want it now. Jack rubbed his temples. So we saved the galaxy? Just to paint a target on our backs? Tareen nodded slowly. Yes, the core chose us. That means every empire, every council, every mercenary will hunt us. The AI interrupted. Incoming transmissions from multiple systems, galactic frequencies. Message content, inquiry about the human vessel Starhaven and the Zainari princess. Jack laughed bitterly. Well, that didn't take long. He stood, walking toward the viewport. Outside, the wreckage of the dreadnought drifted slowly into the void, beautiful and terrifying at once. You know, he said quietly, before today I just fixed engines and complained about my paycheck. Now I'm apparently glowing with alien god power. Tareen tilted her head, smiling softly. You handled it better than most gods would. He turned back to her, grinning slightly. I guess that makes you my divine partner in crime. Her cheeks darkened, went a strange shade between violet and blue. Partner? She repeated softly, as if testing the word. Yes, partners. The AI spoke again. Warning, large energy signatures approaching. Multiple vessels entering local space. Jack's grin vanished. So soon? Identification mixed fleet. Zainari, Rokan, and Terran Alliance vessels detected. Tareen's eyes widened. Humans too? Jack frowned. Looks like Earth's government just showed up to see what the fuss is about. He looked at her, thinking fast. If they see what's inside us, they'll lock you up. And probably dissect me. Tareen lowered her head. Then we can't let them find us. Jack placed a hand on the console. AI, prepare emergency jump. Random coordinates outside known space. The AI hesitated. Warning. Probability of survival for blind hyperspace jump is below 30%. Jack smirked. I've beaten worse odds today. Tareen reached for his hand, her fingers trembling. If we jump without guidance, we could end up in a star. Jack looked at her calmly. Or we could end up somewhere they can't reach us. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she squeezed his hand gently. Together, then. The ship's engines began to hum, brighter and brighter. The core responded, its light spreading through the ship like flowing veins of silver fire. The deck vibrated under their feet. Outside, the approaching fleet sent frantic signals, orders, demands, warnings. But Jack ignored them all. AI, he said firmly. Engage hyperspace drive. Confirmed. The AI replied. Destination, unknown. The stars outside stretched into lines of light. Space folded around them. The Starhaven vanished into the void. For a moment, everything was pure silence, a blue glow surrounding them, endless and peaceful. Then softly, Tareen spoke. Do you think your people will understand what we did? Jack looked at her, eyes calm. Maybe not today, but one day they'll realize this. Humanity didn't just fight for power. We fought for someone we barely knew, She smiled faintly. That's what makes you different from the rest of the galaxy. He laughed quietly. Different usually means trouble. Then we'll face it, she whispered, together. The core pulsed between them, warm and alive, like it understood every word. Outside the window, a new star cluster appeared, strange, beautiful, untouched. The Starhaven drifted toward it, glowing softly in the dark. The first vessel from two worlds now bound by fate, and far behind them, across the galaxy, countless sensors picked up a faint blue signal, proof that the impossible had happened. A human and an alien had shared a bond so powerful, it shook empires. From that day forward, the legend spread across the stars. A human engineer and a fallen princess defeated a god, defied an empire, and vanished into the unknown. Some said they became protectors. Others believed they built something greater. But one thing was certain. When two worlds collided, humanity didn't bow. It rose, and the galaxy would never forget the name Jack Nolan, the man who saved an alien by accident and changed the stars forever. The end.